Hello, good evening everyone. I hope you can hear me okay. Feeling much better than last week, and I'm keeping warm and staying out of the snow. I hope everyone else is feeling well and doing okay. So here in Bitcoin, we've reached a quite a big level. One of the reasons it's a big level is 50% back is very often where a market will retrace to in a correction, mean reversion. So if we look at the drop that we made from June to the low that we made in December, we've reached that 50% back level, not just in Bitcoin, but we've reached that in a few markets. The problem with a 50% back thing and a retrace here or a reversal here is mean reversion tends to give you more mean reversion. So if you reverse at a 50% back, you usually then go 50% back of the rally. Now, if we see this as a rising wedge, which I think it is a lovely rising wedge, it's not clear to me that this is over yet. So how are we going to know? Well, if I put my fibs on from this low to high, we'll put them on a different color here in Bitcoin. Ta-da, we'll get red, and then we'll say like this. Okay, so if we come all the way back, if we reverse here and we come all the way back 50%, that would put us back to kind of 8,300. If that I'm pretty confident in this being a bottom. So if that was going to be a big inverted head and shoulders pattern, we actually could come further. We could come back to like the 61.8 even and overshoot. Bitcoin always overshoots, and back down here to around 78.70. So if this is our wave one finished, this retrace could come all the way back between 8,000 and 8,300. So we need to kind of protect ourselves. What's going to be the signs of a reversal? Well, for me, if we come back kind of more than 50% of this last swing, if we look at how we've rallied here, so let's go down. And each of these little rally swings that we've had, this rally was a perfect 50% pullback. Here, if we look at this rally that we had, we go here like this. In fact, we only came back 38.2 on this one, but I think if we come back more than 50% of this rally, which means 96.42, that would be a bit of a warning sign. This at the moment is lined up as a daily candlestick reversal, and then if we are going to reverse the daily trend, then below the 236 fib from this high, if you're looking for a short setup, a pretty good short setup, below this 236 fib here at 93.16, I've got the Deribit prices just because they're an amalgamation of 8 different exchanges, so your mileage might vary slightly, but it shouldn't be very, very much. So if we drop below the daily 20 moving average and 93.16, then we will drop to 8,317. So we'll go from 9,300 to 8,300. So there's your pretty safe short trade if we close under 93.17. If we're just going to stay in an uptrend, then kind of we shouldn't exceed here, and in fact we should actually stop higher than that. So somewhere between the 50%, 61.8 of this swing, and then, you know, a few days. Each of these other corrections, if you look how many days they've taken, this was a week, this was like 10 days, this was like 10 days, this was a week. So if this is the start of some sideways consolidation, we could be doing this all week long. That's the bad news. So what would we look for that would be bullish on a lower time frame? Well, if you look, they banged the close last night. So by that I mean that the daily and the weekly close, they pushed it up so that it would close just marginally above this 50% level. And you know, that kind of, to most people or to most kind of program traders, would be quite bullish, a close above this 50% level. But since then, you know, I think long term we are still going to go higher, but you know, since then we've pulled back pretty sharply. So that was quite a good example of banging the close, the weekly close, the candle close. So that means here on the daily, we've got a higher high, and now we've got a big engulfing candle. This is called a, if we close more than 50% down of this green cover candle, which we're pretty much guaranteed to do now, I think, This is called a key outside day reversal, bearish engulfing. If we were to close somewhere in the green, but more than halfway down, it would be called dark cloud cover. All of them are really reliable reversal candles, and they point to more downside. This is the start of some back and fill and some sideways consolidation after a really strong, 5-6 day rally in Bitcoin, and a big fat 10,000 number and a 50% retrace. I think it was all too much, the 10,000 level, 50% back, and just a a sticky number really. So it's going to be a tricky week, and that means I think it would be a good idea to be patient and wait for a really good setup to buy this back again. If you look at these corrections, you'll see that most of them were three waves. 1, 2, 3. Sometimes they have a little inside 1, 2, 3 here, and very often equal measured moves or something like that. By that I mean the first swing and the second swing are equal. When you get towards the end of a trend or final ones, this one was kind of equal. What you very often see will be a triangle or a wedge consolidation. We might see something like that here, but if this is the end of wave 1, then we will go back underneath this 20 moving average, below this 236 fib, and we will come back probably 50%. So that's where we are with Bitcoin. Good week to take some profit off. If you haven't already, in Bitcoin there's always a retest, almost always a retest. So here we've pulled back, we're underneath our hourly moving averages. If we get a double top, a lower high, something like that, that would be a decent sell entry. If we look at almost all of the highs that Bitcoin has made, even here, look, double top before a bigger pullback. So I would not be surprised at all if we rallied back up from here. I think 10,000 might be a little bit sticky, might be as far as we go, because the people who bought just above 10,000 will go, oh thank God, and get out. But another leg lower, I think, at least, before we can buy it again. So that might look like this, or it might look something like this, and we get a bigger correction, I don't know. But underneath 9,300, we're pretty much guaranteed of a drop to 8,300. Okay, so that's where we are with Bitcoin, big 50%, and no surprise, in Ethereum, we've got exactly the same thing going on. This is a slightly different 50% though. This is not the 50% from the low that we made in December back to the high. In fact, we're in no man's land here. We're at a pretty good support and resistance level, but we're in between the fibs. What we can talk about though is a fib pattern here. This was almost an 886 reversal. And when you do that, your first target is normally the 50%. We had a pretty strong close above that in Ethereum. And if I go back and put these fibs this way, this kind of makes me think that we're not going to fall that far in ETH. And we've probably got further to rally against Bitcoin. So, another reason why I think that we may see ETH continue to outperform is if we look at an ETH Bitcoin chart. So, we've had a really strong rally in this one. And if we count the waves off the bottom, we can see, if we zoom in as well, this was a 5-wave rally and a 3-wave pullback. And now I think that we are either finished wave 3 or in kind of wave 4 within 3. So we've got another push higher to come. Another reason why I think that we're going to continue higher is, one of the things I really like to look at for trend is the 236 fib. So if I take this most recent swing lower in ETH, this is the 236 fib where we failed before, and now we're holding above it here. So I don't think that there's that much downside for ETH. If we do, we might just go sideways and then carry on higher in this one. So, I think it's worth, if you've got some Bitcoin, diversifying into some ETH at the moment as well. I would also look at this last swing higher, and the 236 fib is here as well at the lows. So let's say in ETH Bitcoin, below 0.022, then we'll see a bigger pullback. Probably 50% of this swing, the daily 20 moving average, to 0.0208. But otherwise, if this holds, then we've got 1, 2, 3, a little shallow 4, and then we can see that continue higher. So ETH can set to outperform Bitcoin, and that usually means altcoins could continue, a lot of them, to outperform Bitcoin. So that's quite positive for that one. God, I've lost all the comments. Hello. Hello, Crypto Lady. I am feeling better, thanks. Hello, everybody. Hello, Abel Seaman, everyone. Hi, Polly. Okay, so that's Bitcoin and Ethereum. Let's talk about, so if this is right, then we should see alts rally for a bit longer. Another reason why I think we might see alts rally for a bit longer is if we take a look at the Bitcoin dominance chart, which I seem to have lost, so I'll get it back. Hold on. I was looking at different things. Here we go. No. There we go. Bitcoin dominance. Here we go. Now, I tried all sorts of ways. So I kind of, it's a bit of a derivative, this, isn't it? Now, if I go all the way from the all-time highs in this chart to the all-time lows, this again looks like a reversal at a 50%. Even if we just come back to the previous fib level here on this weekly chart in Bitcoin dominance, that says that we've got further to fall back to about 60 in this 200 moving average. We're definitely in a correction. We may see a bigger correction than people are thinking, because it looks like in this Bitcoin dominance as well that we've completed 5 big waves up, and 5 waves for this final one to finish, and so we could see a big 3-wave correction, and that would mean sometimes, you know, if this is our wave 1 finished in Bitcoin dominance, that could also mean 50% back here, which puts us somewhere here in the middle. Now, I think the confirmation that we're going to go lower is below this daily 50 moving average and below 62. So potentially we could just do an ABC correction to this 236 fib level 62 and then continue higher from here. That would say time to get out of alts and back into Bitcoin, and not such a big pullback in Bitcoin. And that would line up with Bitcoin doing a shallow pullback, not a big 50% retrace. But again, if 62.08 fails here, then we're looking back down towards these lows and back to 51. So 62 to 51 in this chart. So hopefully just a correction, but below 62.088 would be a reversal, I think. So now let's just do one more thing, because I've gone from this all-time highs to all-time lows. But one of my ways that I like to look at, have I drawn the fibs correctly, is if I got a reaction at the 236 fib. So I kind of look at this, and this did react perfectly at the 236 fib. It was messy at the 38.2, which is normal, sharp at the 50%, and then messy here at the 61.8. And that kind of lines up, you know, if we overshoot the 61.8, that lines up. It says actually if we break the weekly 200 moving average, we might go a little bit lower, sort of 51. So support possibly coming soon for Bitcoin against the alts, but otherwise a bigger correction coming. So good time to diversify out beyond ETH. Now, can't believe I haven't got any Litecoin tonight. I'm pretty sure somebody asked for Litecoin and I haven't written it down, but let me just quickly double check. Actually, no, I'll just move on. Sorry, ignore me. Okay, no, I know, it's weird not we haven't got any. Okay, so the next one we're going to look at is Bitcoin Cash SV, which is one of those charts that just continues to amaze. If we look at BSV here against US dollar tether, then we're in that 61.8, 38.2 zone. So we've stalled at a 61.8. We've done one leg low. I'm going to go down to a 4 hour. And then I'm going to look at this against Bitcoin, okay? Because when you get into the 61, when you get a reversal like this at the 61.8 that drops below the previous fib, then you get into the golden ratio zone in between the 61.8 and 38.2. So what I expect to see here is this is our A leg, then we're going to do an A, B, C, and then a B leg. And so our buying opportunity comes when we retest these highs around 320 in Bitcoin Cash SV. And that's where I'd be looking for support for the next leg higher in this one. And so it does look a little bit toppy here, doesn't it, on the hourly? Hasn't quite rolled over yet, but you know, this looks like it may even be an ABC correction complete. Sometimes you have your first leg and then you measure, project it from there, and you only go 61.8 of the first one, or you make a little double top, which is which is what we've got here. Whenever you see a double top, it means you stop going up or down. It means you're going sideways. It's not a kind of reversal. So, but I think that something like this would be a good look for Bitcoin Cash SV in a pullback. And so what does that mean for BSV against Bitcoin? Because if you hold it against Bitcoin, of course, you accumulate more Bitcoins. And I actually think that we're in a, so this is our really, here's our daily chart of this one. Let me tidy it up so we can talk about it sensibly. Put regular candles on. Why won't it just disappear? Okay, so I have to say, you know, after a sharp rally and a really steep pullback like this, what we're seeing here is a little bit of a consolidation. And are we going to go, and are we? If we put our fibs just on this last swing, like this was, in fact, I'm not going to look at that one. So I'm just going to look at BSV. Where's a chart that doesn't look like that one? Let's look at BitTrax. There we go. This is a bit better. Okay, I'm going to take them away for now. So we're sitting at these previous highs. If we measure this last 5-wave swing here like this, okay, we're kind of going sideways around this 50% level. If maybe the market's looking at it like this, and that's a 61.8, and this is a 38.2, that kind of lines up better. So either way, we're in this golden ratio zone, and you can see from the highs and lows here in the middle that this 50% level is acting as a pivot. So we're kind of sideways doing whatever Bitcoin is doing. If we break above 0.371, that probably would be correction over and next leg up. But it might be that we've gone A, and now we've gone A, B, C, and we do another leg lower. And if we do that, then to make a Gartley pattern, we would come down to the 786, which is here at these highs, and 0.0271. So if you're long, hold on for the ride. But if we drop back below this pivot level in the middle, that's pointing to lower. If we break this support, I think we see the same pattern. So we're going to go A, B, and then like this. So I really do think at the moment BSV, although it looks really promising, is going to be outperformed for a little bit by BCH. But all of them, you know, BSV, Bitcoin Cash, SV, Bitcoin Cash, ABC, and Bitcoin all have halvings coming up April, May. So just be aware of that as you're trading them. But Bitcoin Cash, I think this one for me is one to, you know, still in an uptrend. I'm looking for this one to break and keep going higher, at least 473 on this next swing in Bitcoin Cash. So I definitely prefer that to BSV at the moment, short term anyway. Okay, next request is Monaro, which has looked pretty perky as we've pulled back. You see that quite often when Bitcoin tops out. Monaro likes to have a bit of a run. So let's put our regular candles on, because there's lots to like about this. Let's take this fib away. First of all, we'll take them away. So this last kind of part of the decline in Monero Bitcoin has been a long declining wedge. If we draw it like this, you can see that we've got at least 1, 2, 3 touches on the top rail, and we've broken out. So that's happy days. If we look at it another way as a traditional chart pattern here, this is a left shoulder, big double head, right shoulder. So it's a funky inverted head and shoulders pattern. Sometimes you see them like that with a double head. And if we take our fibs and say, where is our next upside target, if this is, we're looking at this right, if we say this is the last 5 wave swing lower, then that breakout from the head and shoulders pattern and from this declining wedge was also this 236 fib. So that's pretty good, because that says next we should reach to at least 0.009414. That's where I'd be looking for next. So oops, let's not do that. So if we also then take our fib out, and we'll, instead of doing this, we'll go all the way to the highs, which is up here. So that gives us our first target, and then our second target is going to be this 236 fib level here at 0.012754. And I like this one just because I like how it lines up with this big spike low. This level's like one of those, you know, big kind of magnet levels for us to come back and retest. So that would be my second target on the upside here for Monero, and it looks better on the weekly. Let's take a look. You can see, at least read the candles anyway. So yeah, I would say we'll be in a weekly uptrend if we can get above this big 236 fib retrace level and back above this previous swing low, but that's going to be really strong resistance. So sorry, I'm just talking about the CME gap. I have a thing about gaps. I think you're talking about Bitcoin. So, you know, gap traders, they do that in a lot of indexes. So if we look at the gap, what I tend to feel about gaps is I want to see them close in kind of the first sort of couple of days after the open. If they don't, they tend to become support and resistance. So let's put that on here. So our gap, you know, let's go back to an hourly. Our gap has been filled. So, you know, some people can say, oh, that's it, the gap's filled up, we're going to go again. Happy days. That's how I feel about gaps. That trade worked very nicely. It did. But I do think now we've set up a bigger reversal in Bitcoin. We shouldn't ignore candles that look like this, big reversal candles. I think we're going to see some follow through before we turn up higher again. So it's a good time to be patient and wait for a really good entry setup. You know, there are lots of oscillators. So MACD, RSI, I like a CCI, like whatever, you know, if you put them all on a chart and you look at them, you want to see when is it coming back and starting to turn up again. You know, they're really good timing tools, and I recommend you kind of use them. I think they work really well. Okay, so Monero, that's what we're doing and that's where we're going. And let's look at XLM, which is Lumen. Now I'm going to look at XLM against Tether first. And the reason is, so we're doing one of those messy, very messy, potentially we're reversing at a messy 61.8 level here. I kind of think we're holding above this fib level actually, 7,006, and that's pretty positive, because if we do, then we keep going higher to the next one. Why would I rely on these fibs? Well, if I draw all the other ones in, you can see that they, especially this 50%, worked pretty well as support and resistance. And if we put the 236 fib in, this was kind of, I've got them not quite lined up. So got above it, it was support, 50% was resistance. And so now if we can hold above this 61.8, we should keep going higher. At the moment though, looks like we're underneath it again, and 61.8 levels can be very messy. So a lower high here, and unable to get back above 0.07086 would point to down here, and that a retest of this 50% and these highs before we go up again short term in XLM. So 0.06537, that's the first place I would look for support and a rally. But if we go back to the daily, and this does turn into one of those 61.8 reversals, then if you break this 50% pivot in the middle, you'll come back to the 61.8. Now, maybe the market isn't looking at these fibs, so maybe we'll take it all the way up and see how it looks if we're up here. And it's very similar, look. We look like we've kind of maybe got above this 236 fib, and now we're dipping back underneath it. The same scenario here. It looks like a kind of little false breakout. So I'm stellar lumens against the US dollar looks like at least another swing low, and see what happens at 0.0655 if we look at it against Bitcoin, because if it's going up against Bitcoin, happy days. And we've stalled, and this is a bit unfortunate here with this stall, because you know, whenever you double top, doesn't mean you've stopped. It doesn't mean you're not. It's a sell, but it does mean that we are not trending, and so kind of different rules apply. You kind of have to hold on. So we've got a bit of a tricky sideways range. Well, if this was our first big swing of correction, where would 61.8 from here take us down to? Bit further, wouldn't it? 687. So 687 would be the first place I look for support, and if not with this double top, I would say all the way back to the bottom of the range for a double bottom down here at 646. So I think we've also got further to fall in this one. It's very slow and choppy and overlapping. We could look at this as a bit of a, it's not a very even shaped one, but it potentially is a little bit of a head and shoulders pattern. So if we break the lows here on the neckline, we normally go twice this distance, so that would point to this bigger ABC bottom of the range as well, wouldn't it? So I think it's a good time to hang back and de-risk in Lumen. It's in a downswing and we need to wait for it to bottom. I would be de-risking a bit in that one. Okay, here's Warvez, which I had so much hope for, and then it took off without me in the middle of the night. There you go. So where was it? It went, yeah. I got up and I was like 7 in the morning, and I missed the long entry here, you know, and I'm really strict with myself. If I miss it, I have to sit and wait for it to come back and give me a pullback entry. And then unfortunately I missed this one today. So Warvez is in a nice, beautiful new upswing without me. Now, when you look at a big candle like this, there's really nothing, honestly, there's not much you can do. You can't chase it. You can't buy it up here. The first thing it's going to do is come back. So let's look at where we've stopped and what it tells us about where we might come back to let us in. Because if we do reverse at this 886 fib level, let me do a bit more here, tidying up. Okay, if we stall here and start our pullback at this 886 fib level, if we break the 786 fib level underneath it, which would be 1397, then the trade would be from here to here, so 1216. So if you're long Warvez waves, you need your stop under 1397, because if we don't, we'll see a much bigger pullback to this 1216 level. Another way to look at where we would come back to is wait for the close. Don't know where it's going to be, and then look for 50% back of the open close. That's very often support and resistance. So here on our hourly chart, you can see it's behaving very nicely. I'm going to leave regular candles on so you can see how it's behaving. So here's our resistance and here's our support. Very narrow range for which way next. Really nicely, clearly defined. So if you're long, you know, an hourly close, back below 1397, I would say time to get out and wait for 1216. If we hold this level and carry on higher, move your stop up. We're still in a very nice uptrend, and up we go. And then we need to get past these new highs, and then we can start talking about where to next. So if we measure from this low to this high, our first target would be the 61.8, and we're above it. Hooray! As long as we still close above this level, we haven't finished an ABC correction, and we can look higher to 1717 next. So we're looking to hold 1397, and if we continue higher, 1717 next target for Waves Bitcoin. That's the first target. If we look at, so that's if we make an ABC correction, okay? 1717 becomes our target. If we're looking for this to make a bullish impulse, we're going to look for this. Sometimes this next swing can be 1.618 or 2.618 of this first swing. So that's great. That gives us 1.6 up here, 2223. But this 2.618 lines up perfectly with this much bigger 236 fib target level at 3061. So potentially big things happening if we can turn the trend around, make a new high here in Waves Bitcoin. But honestly, after a big candle like this, if you look back, okay, on any chart, you'll see a big candle like this, and you'll see days of back and fill before it continues high again. So, you kind of have to wait for an entry. At this point, you can't buy a market that's gone up like that in a straight line without some kind of a pullback, really, or consolidation. Just too risky for me anyway. It's just too risky. But do I love waves? I love waves. Okay. Next one I'm going to look at is Iost. Iota. Sorry, I've got Iota. Okay. I'm really sorry because I meant to write Iota and I've written Iost instead. So I will change that later, and we're looking at Iota now. We're going to look at Iota Bitcoin on the daily chart. Now, this is another coin. It's made a really nice kind of double bottom lower high here. It rallied up to our big first target, which is the 236 fib. I thought it might overshoot. These earlier lows are like magnet levels. So this is what we did. We went all the way up here, but we couldn't close above this 236 fib, and profit taking saw us come all the way back. We've now stalled here again, which is very frustrating, because unless we can get above 39,789, then we're a little bit stuck, and this potentially is just a big, if we ignore that spike, right, potentially all we've done here is a big ABC correction and headed lower again. So a little bit of worry. I'm going to ignore that spike now. We'll go from here 50% back. So if this is just a correction, this is maybe a good place to rally from, but it's not in an uptrend against Bitcoin, and it's not, I hate to say it, one of the better looking charts at the moment. Does that mean that it had a spectacular run, but it's just come back too much? So I would love it if we held this 50% level and this daily 20 moving average, and if we could rally from here. So I keep looking at it. If we look at it on the lower time frame, like an hourly, remember, when you get a double top, it's always a sign that you've stopped going up, and when you get a double bottom, it's a sign you've stopped going down. And we've got a pretty nice hourly double bottom here, so that's a pretty good sign actually for Iota Bitcoin. If we break the highs in the middle here, we'll go at least twice this distance, this range, so that puts us up here and then back above this hourly 200, and then maybe we've got a shot. So it doesn't look too bad. It's for holding this level. Let's see if that 236 lines up. I don't think it will, but be a little bit higher. But so yeah, double bottom means we've stopped going down and we're consolidating above 32,776, and we're going up again for sure. And I think that Iota Bitcoin is worth a little bit of a cheeky long to see, because we brought all of our daily moving averages underneath us. They're all lined up bullish. Let's see this time if we can't crack that 236 fib level and try and get out. Okay. Smash Joy says, what's the TV tag for Bitcoin? Okay. I don't think they have Bitcoin dominance on here. Okay, so this site that I go to and look at it on is called charts.cointrader Pro. And it's the has all the coin market cap charts, so I get it there. Okay. If I go back to let's see, yeah, so they've got quite a few altcoin dominance, Ethereum dominance, you know, they've got some quite cool charts here. I'm just going to click on one. Up it should come. And I quite like, you know, you can set up how your charts, just like TradingView. You can, I mean, these are TradingView charts, but just let's face it, TradingView are the king of the charts. But you can set up what colors you want. If you whatever indicators you put on, it remembers you and it saves them, so it's pretty good. So okay, so I've looked at Iota instead of Iost, which was a mistake, of course, my apologies. And if I'm just going to make sure that that was, oh no, I think I'm going to look at Iost as well, just in case somebody asked that for that one as well. So we'll do that next. Where are we going? We'll zoom down here. So I open the page, sorry. BNB, you know, BNB is one that I kept, you know, it's really frustrating when you miss an entry. I kept missing my entries on that, sleeping or other rubbish things. But BNB is a really good example of another one. This is BNB Tether daily chart. If I go from this high to this low, from the high, in other words, that we made in June, to the low that we made in December, it's in exactly the same position as Bitcoin. Big 50% level. What's quite interesting is we haven't got the big reversal that we saw in, but it is one of those tricky ones. So far we've made a high above 25.85 would be quite bullish in Binance Coin. Otherwise we could, like Bitcoin, see a bigger pullback here. If we look at BNB Bitcoin, because this is the really nice look, breakout from a sideways range today and a really positive move. Okay, I'm going to zoom out a bit further, and all-time lows to all-time highs here in Binance Coin. This is a bounce from the 61.8 level, right? So when you do that, you say that the 50% level here in the middle is your pivot, and if you get above it, your target is the 38.2, which is coincidentally exactly where this trend line is going to line up. So we have now in this Binance Coin against Bitcoin a really nice setup. We've got our target up here at 29,808, and we've got this nice breakout today above these highs. Look, so somewhere in this zone we're going to see a pullback. And you can't buy a coin that's just gone up in a straight line like that. You really do need a pullback, but a bit of a pullback here in Binance Coin. So if this is our first leg lower and we get a second leg lower, that's going to be a really nice buying opportunity, hopefully. Back towards sort of 24,600, 24,200 would be a nice long entry. And then our target's 29,800 in BNB. Okay, I'm going back to look at Iost now. Ta-da! Okay, so here's our daily chart. This has done a couple of interesting things, because whenever, you know, really we're in the sideways range of this big rally. We haven't really made a new high. You know, we're still potentially in a bit of a correction. What gives me a lot of hope here is how we in Iost Bitcoin have broken above and are holding above the 200-day moving average. Nice bullish cross on these moving averages. So I think we're all set to retest the highs. And if I measure kind of our ABC, that would be up there as well. If I put it on this first swing here a little bit lower, it's all around there anyway. Between 83 and 86 then is where I think we should rally to in Iost. But if we, let's take away this, if we can hold above or close above 83, we should continue higher to 98, but hopefully even better, the 1.618 extension lines up with the big 236 fib level at 122. So Iost, it's not out of the sideways weeds, and we do have to get above 83 to trend higher. So that would be my first target, but if we can, then 83, hopefully 98, and then 123. So let's take low time frame. Are we about to break out here? Not much sign of it at the moment, is it? Another, you know, another double top today here in this one, which just says stall, sideways, more consolidation. So we're going to do, you know, a bit of this, hopefully. But then, you know, I would set some alarms for this one because I think it's got some potential. Iost Bitcoin. Okay. Hope that's okay. Andrew, I will look at BTG, yeah, at the end. If the Daleks could make a note of that, that would be great. Where have I got to? I've got really behind because of the Iost and IOTA thing. So let's talk about TRX. I know I shouldn't say it, but did you see that video of Peter and the guy completely trashed, so drunk, calling his own coin a shit coin? I'm sorry, that was hilarious. I know you're all you TRX fans, you're all still going to buy it though, so it doesn't matter, does it? I'm just trying to find TRX now, which I've lost. Oh no. I'm not drunk. He was very drunk though. Okay. That's if you don't follow What Bitcoin Did, or Peter McCormack. He interviewed the guy, and it's a very, very funny video if you look for it. Okay, now Tron. Let's start with our daily chart, because first of all, this looks like 5 ways up, which should be bullish, but they're choppy and they're overlapping. They come back into wave 1. There's only one place you can get away with that, and that's in the start move, which is called a leading diagonal. So we have a little bit of hope that this could turn into a impulsive move and a bottom here, but I'm a little bit wary because of this. That's the first thing. Secondly, if it is just an ABC correction, then we can mark where the trouble layers are. We'll measure from here to here, and we'll project it from here. The first trouble place is going to be where we're 61.8 of this first leg, and then when we're equal up here, this is going to be trouble. And then if we get to 1.618 of the first leg, that's quite exciting, because that might be bullish, because that might sign a wave 3, in which case this will be support and will carry on higher. So this 240 level then, Tron Bitcoin, on the retest, because it looks like we're about to turn up higher in a retest, that's going to be your goal, to get above 240 if you're bullish. If we don't, if we rally back and we just double top, or we make a lower high, we're still in a correction, and potentially we've finished the rally for TRX, potentially. So I'd be a little bit cautious here. And then, you know, of course, this is not new highs here either. So this would be A, B, and then we'll see another leg lower. So yeah, time to play defense in TRX. Gonna put these fibs on from pull back to 38.2, not quite 50. Yeah. You know, in terms of moving averages, these moving averages are super bullish. You know, we've crossed the 220 the 200, crossed the 50. This looks like it's about to turn up. If it happens, then that is very positive. If altcoins really are going to keep outperforming and we can get above this 240 level, then good luck. But whilst we're underneath 240, it's not my favorite chart, I have to say, in TRX. Hope that helps. Let's look at XTZ, which is on its way to the moon. The moon. This is Tezos Tether. Now, there's a couple of ways when you make new highs of how you can come up with targets. One of them is to use fib extensions. So you'll put your fib high to low on the correction, and then you'll extend it beyond the number one. So you go 1272, 1.618, and so on. Let's put our 1272 in, because I think we kind of stopped there. And I also do that on not just this level, but on a few of them. So I would do it on here, like this. See where we're at, where we're going. That's not very helpful. Maybe this one. Sometimes they do. What I'm looking for is where they all line up together, because that very often gives you resistance levels. And you can see, let's put this one on the left and make it a different color, because you can see that had a really nice stall at this first 2.618, 1272. That was a butterfly pattern. So now where's the next? Let's put on our 4.236 here, which seems to be missing. 6.8 right there. It's going beyond them, isn't it? Let's see if this lower one again has any help. Okay. Not really, not much confluence there. Okay, I'm going to say then, like we're holding above them, that this next target level here at 2.849 is where I think the XTZ US dollar closes, goes next, and I don't think we're quite there yet. So far this is not a reversal. Look how we're holding the highs and just going sideways. So, you know, as long as we do that and we keep this sideways range kind of going on and we don't break down, I'm looking for this one to have one more push higher than 2.849 before we see any kind of a bigger correction. But let's take a look at it against Bitcoin, see what's going on there, and if we've still got some room to the upside in this one. And this, I think we do as well. So let's actually put this on here as well. I don't think they lined up here when I tried to make it work either. They don't. Okay. Right, so we've stalled at the 1.13. The next target is the 1272. I'm going to put my fib on here as well. Sometimes they just don't line up and you're like, oh, what's going on? They don't in this case. So all the time, I'm going to say all the time in Tezos Bitcoin, while we're holding above these previous highs, which we are very nicely, and whilst we haven't got to our 1272 kind of first target, I think that there's also room in Tezos Bitcoin to go a little bit higher to 2868 next. I would be wrong if we came back and we closed under these previous highs, and then we'll see a bigger correction before we try and have another go going higher. Getting back underneath these previous highs doesn't mean a reversal. I would say a reversal. See this big green candle with the big green body? If we went more than 50% of that candle open close, that in terms of candlesticks would be a bearish reversal. So 24.59, back below 24.59 would be a bearish reversal. So it's got a bit of room, but I wouldn't wait to find out if it finds support there. I would get out before then and then wait and try and buy a pullback. So looking good. I still think we've got another leg up in Tezos Bitcoin before it tops out. And if we go beyond that 1272, in other words, we blast through it at 28.68. Then the 1.618, which is up here, would be our next target. And that's all the way at 3246. And again, if we measure low, high from here, look how that kind of equal measured move gets us up there to that 3,200 level as well. So, and holding above this 61.8, 25.40 keeps us bullish. So next resistance is 28.68, but really for a target, I think 3,200 is a good target for XTZ Bitcoin, and it's got more upside to come. Okay. Link. I love Link, but another one. District Docs, another one that's doing really nicely now. This had a lovely bull flag. So I think we can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But the fifth wave normally subdivides into 5. And so I'm starting to think perhaps we could blast above this resistance. In Chainlink Bitcoin, this is the 4th touch. So even if I say 3rd touch and I put it on this high, you know, we're not quite over that resistance yet, are we? Another thing that makes me concerned we might stay in this range is when I put my fibs on this swing, where we stopped was this 886 fib level. If we put them on here, then this 886 fib level becomes our resistance again. In fact, this swing here. There. So now we've got a number. Now we can say, okay, if we can close above 35,223, then we've broken that pattern. But if we can't, then we're still in this consolidating this big swing, and there. So I've got to target the moon. We'll take them away anyway. So there we are at resistance. Above 35,223 would be a really nice breakout. Here on the hourly, you can see we're kind of consolidating underneath it. Again, like so many other coins I've looked at, this looks like A and a B leg, and we've still got another C leg. We might only do a shallow one. We might just tag this kind of neckline that looks like it's forming here. But if we break this neckline, then we'll have a big head and shoulders pattern, and we'll probably go further and deeper. So at this point, I would be reducing my risk in Link against Bitcoin, and I would add to it above 35,223, and I'd be watching out for a bearish reversal here, maybe de-risking and waiting. Now, does that mean that Link US dollar is going to go down? Let's take a quick look at that one, because we've got the same kind of toppy pattern setting up, and let's see. Now, from this high to this low, these fib levels were very well respected. This 50% gave us a very deep pullback, and now we're at the 61.8, which also means that we've probably done an equal measured move. You can measure it simply like this. Yeah. Looks like we made a big A leg down, B leg up, A, B, C. So very important, if we're going to keep going higher, that we get above this 3.39 in Link US dollar tether. Otherwise, it's a bearish reversal here as well. So I'd be looking at this pretty carefully. And if we bunched up our moving averages, if this little wedge breaks down, I would be out of Link and waiting for a bigger pullback to buy it. If you reverse at a 61.8 fib level, then the support is at the 50%, which acts like a pivot level. And if that breaks, so that's here at 3.02, and if that breaks, you've got a short set up from here to here, like this. And the next target is 2.65, where we would be looking for maybe some support. So potentially, Link is looking a little bit toppy at resistance, both against Tether and against Bitcoin. So play defense. If you've made a lot of money in this, don't give it back. You can always take some off, put an alarm on this upper double top level, and if we break above it, buy it back again. Okay, next one is KNC. We're going to look at the daily chart. KNC. Now, so we've got to have this bit of a tricky level in KNC. I took this last swing lower, so from the high in March 19 to the low in August, and this 236 fib level was troublesome. We tried it I don't know how many times. It's also a bit of support and resistance if we look left. So 3,500 is our very tricky level that we needed to get above if we're going to go higher in KNC against Bitcoin. Now I think we're above it, and now we're looking for support to see if we can rally away here, and here it is. I think looks pretty good to me. So we've made a big fat wedge. The problem with, okay, so you draw that and you think, oh, look, I'm a genius, look, I draw a triangle. The problem with this is that very often that's not the pattern. So you'll buy it on a breakout, so you'll draw it like this, okay, and this is why you need to watch for that third touch to be a false break that fails, okay? Because if it goes here and you've only got 2 touches of a trend line, that's not a valid trend line. Okay, you need the third touch to validate it. And this is a really good example of why it's important, because what if this was our A leg and now we've gone A, B, and we're going A, B, C? Then if we do that here, we're going to make that marginal new high, and you think, look, I'm long, it's working, I'm a genius, and then it'll do that next leg lower before it goes again. And we've got a bigger A, B, C. So that's why you need 3 touches of a trend line to confirm it, and 2 touches aren't always the best setup, because if it's doing this kind of correction thing, that's what you'll see. So I like Khyber network. I love how we're holding above this level. I would like to really see us push higher, but if you buy some, okay, let's measure it, and we can't close beyond 3,808, look out, that would just be an ABC correction and it'll come back again. And these corrections, sometimes they can be really vicious. So it'll rally all the way up to it'll be irregular, so it'll come up all the way to these highs, and then it'll go, oh yeah, no, I don't gonna, and it'll do that again before we go, you know. So I really do like Khyber network above this 3,500 level, and I'm looking for the next leg higher, but I'm just not convinced it's ready to go yet. Okay, so Khyber network. Now if we do hold above this 38.2, then the first place we're going to look for obviously is this 38.2, but this to me looks like one of those really cool cup and handle bottoming patterns. So here's the cup, okay, look, here's the cup and here's the handle, and when you do that, then you're going to go from here. So like any bottoming pattern, you're looking for twice this range, okay? So from this low, like this, that's a general rule, whether it's, so that takes us to the 50%. So that means that we would have an interim target of 48.28 and then target of 5,902 for KNC Bitcoin. Let's see if we can consolidate, hold above this support and resistance level, and keep pushing higher in KNC. And the next one we're going to look at is NANO. NANO. Okay, nobody's old enough to remember that. Better shut up. Not mana, we're Nano. Here we go. How convenient it's looking at Bitcoin here. Now, I put my big girl fibs on from this last swing lower in grey here, and that gives us a first upside target at this 236 fib all the way up here. I'm going to take that away. I put on this spike low because actually that's where we stuck before. if you look, you know, this is why these levels are kind of important. Couldn't get above it before, but we didn't tag it either, so I'm going to take it away. Every time we've tried to rally, which was back here, and the first time here, we couldn't get above the 200 moving average. Suddenly it's looking like we can, and maybe we've got a shot going higher here. I'm not quite sure though, so what I'm going to say is this is our last swing lower, right? And so if it was just a correction, the 50% back in the middle is likely where we would stall. And if we were going to carry on lower there, or the 61.8. And here we can see we are a little bit stuck at this 50%. Now, if we can get above and hold above it and push higher, that would be quite bullish. So we're having a bit of an argument over this 50% level. We got above it before, found support, double topped. So if we can get above this double top level here, that would probably be what we want to see. So I think it looks good. I think it's worth a little toe in the water, holding above 987. Okay, because back below 987 for me would be where I'm wrong. And then we can look for the 61.8 and so on, keep going higher from here. So Nano Bitcoin above this 200 moving average, I think we should really fly. And 1400 is the target. But let's get out of this sideways consolidation and above 1049 first. Looking good. It is looking good. We're wrong if we're back below that 200 moving average, and this is our big target up here. Okay. Fun to watch anyway. Nano. Raven. This is a cool little coin, Raven. Let's see. The chart's cool anyway. That's not investment advice. Okay. So this is one of those ones that came, well, let's put it this way, it came all the way back. So it rallied all the way up and then all the way back to these lows. And this is a pretty big rounded retest. In fact, we've spent quite a lot of time building this bottom here, haven't we? Held the support pretty well. Clearly, if we can continue and push higher from here, we should go back to the top of the range. Or if this is the lowest low, another way to look at it would say this is our first rally off here, A, B, and so C leg, our C leg, let's line that up. If we get stuck at 61.8, it would be 391 and we wouldn't go beyond there, so we'll make a marginal new high and fail. And second target would be 464. So 391 and 464 are the short-term upside targets. And then above 464, we have reversed the trend. Big time. After a big left shoulder, hopefully head, right shoulder. But so why, if that's the case, and again, with these bottoming patterns, you know, when you go in that sideways range, it was looking for twice the distance. So that would put us up here to around 663 and beyond this big 236 fib. So that would be good. But those measured moves are where I would look for first. So here we are sitting on the 200 moving average. Let's look at it on an hourly. Let's take our RSI away. You know, I think it all looks all good to go and have another go, doesn't it? It looks like we're turning, if we can get back above these hourly moving averages, let's have another go. But it may be, you remember, if the rest of crypto is in a bigger correction, Raven coin might do the same. So here it looks like we've gone A, B, C down. Now we're going to go A, B, C up. And then before we go up again in Raven coin maybe. Or, you know, that's the nice, simple, good-looking version of that corrective pattern. There are some less pretty ones. You know, we could from here go all the way up to the top, down. We could make a big, you know, triangle, A, B, C, D, E before this is over as well. If we don't want to make new lows and we want to hold above these moving average support, it wouldn't be weird to see a pattern like that. So I love it above this 200 moving average and these daily moving averages, but I think it's a timing issue. Now I use a CCI and this CCI says to me that we're in a correction, we're rolling back over. An RSI is really good as well. Let's put an RSI on. Oh, not helping me. Okay. Don't know why I can't put it on. But anyway, a good way to look would be for the RSI to bottom and turn up again, and that would be a good timing thing. A lot of these look like they are going to do a bit of consolidation before they go. I might be wrong, but let's see. Next one I've been asked to look at is WRX, which is a new coin. So not that, it's not that new though, is it? So looking pretty good now. When you're looking at corrections, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up, I think. Looks pretty good. So now you need to see a big 3-wave correction. Somewhere between the 50% and the 61.8 would be nice. So if we put that on, that's exactly where we bottomed. So that's quite good. Now let's see, was this an equal measured move? That would make it even more exciting. Yeah, it was. It was kind of this around this 61.8 level. So yeah, could we be making a base here in WRX and ready to rally again? Maybe. This is an hourly chart. And at the moment, we're held down by these hourly moving averages. In fact, since we rolled over, this hourly 50 moving average has been our block, if you like. You could draw it as a trend line. So the sign that we're going up again would be back above this hourly moving average or back above this previous high at 1,015. If we don't, and if we can't, and if we keep going, or we'll see another leg lower in this one. And if we do, we could come all the way back to 632. You know, when these coins first launch, they can spend an awful long time going sideways. You kind of need quite a robust strategy to handle the buying and selling if you're going to do that. So it looks all right. I think the next swing higher will be if we're back above the 50. Okay, I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Daleks. Okay, so that's WRX, and the last one we're looking at is HEDG, and then we'll try and get some requests in because I seem to have talked quite a lot. Okay, HEDG trade. Now, so we just talked about 50 moving averages are really important. Okay, here we are sitting in HEDG trade Bitcoin at the 50 moving average. And a 236 fib is a really good indicator of trend. If we measure from the all-time lows to the all-time highs here at Bittrex in HEDG trade.
Go. Tigger, go.
Hold on a minute. Tigger.
Go.
Go get him.
Go.
Go get the fox. Go on. Quick.
Go.
Go
Fox.
see.
Fox. Fox.
Bloody.
Blondie, the fox. Go.
Sorry. Bit of drama in the hen house, apparently. It's not very good. Okay. You can tell I live in the country now, can't you? Okay, so here we are sitting on the 236 fib. So from this low to this high, we're at the daily 50 moving average, the 236 fib. This is an ideal place for HEDG trade to find support if it's going to hold the trend and continue higher from here. And underneath, we will see a bigger correction back to these previous lows at 22,247. God, there really is one out there. Bloody hell. Is the duck away? Okay. Okay, so that's the daily look. Here's this level that we're sitting on. And look on here on the hourly. It's behaving very nicely. Nice little double bottom warning that says, ooh, maybe I've stopped going down against yesterday's low. So, yeah, let's see if we can turn it up higher. Now, these hourly moving averages are the wrong way around. Sometimes you want to do that, you need to do another one, you know, before you get it going. But this is really pretty good support for us to rally from. Let's do one more thing. We'll measure this like this. 61. Yeah, we did that. So, potentially. But now, there's another way to look at that and go, actually, you know what? We're just underneath this level, aren't we? Yeah, we are. So if we can't get above it and we go like this and we break these lows, that's where you're wrong. So what's nice about this trade, if you were to try and buy it here, is you've got very low risk reward because you know where you're wrong. Okay, and you know just under these levels, that would be where you're wrong. So potentially good support in hedge, but we haven't got the price action we want to see yet, and breaking on a reversal of the hourly trend to tell us we're going up again yet. Okay, so the next one we're going to look at is BTG. Right, I'm not sure where BTG is, so let's take a look. BTG. Gonna look at BTC Bitcoin. So here's a really good tip. You know, when you've got these very bitty charts, thinly traded charts, if you put high Kanashi candles on, it's much easier to see what's going on. So on these candlesticks here, they'll give you all the different candlesticks that high Kanashi is the one you want. Now, this potentially in BTG had one nice rally, and we're looking to see, are we going to have another rally and zoom on higher from here and get above this 200-day moving average. I'm going to put my fib on from this high to this low, and I'm going to say above the 236 fib. Yeah, we probably are going higher. At the moment, we've just got a bit of a sideways range thing going on, haven't we? Let's take a look at it on the 4-hour. It's a good looking bottom, but so if you like this and you buy a little here, watch out that we don't fail at 156,207, and yeah, above it is thin, isn't it? It's thin and crispy. I don't really kind of, anyway, I would say above 156,200 we're going to see the next leg higher. And if this is our first leg higher, apply the same rules. We're going to look for 256,200, and then 345,300, and then hopefully maybe 408,000. But yeah, we're just a little bit sideways around the 200 moving average, and if everything else is going to be in a correction, we could see a bit more sideways before we get going in this one as well. Unfortunately, lots of potential above this 200 moving average, but just not quite over the hump yet, are we? Okay, theta. Okay, the dogs haven't come back. That's not good news. Okay. Theta. This is a good example. So I thought, oh look, we've got this lovely wedge here in theta. And you always have to say to yourself, well, if we fail and we just do an ABC correction, where is that gonna, what's that gonna look like? Where is that gonna be? And if we do that here, that's what we did. So we went A and then a big B and then C. So I'm going to say that we're still in a pretty rubbish sideways range and corrective range in this one. If we take it another way to see that is this, if this is our last swing lower, you know, we really kind of need to go beyond that sort of sticky level in the middle, 50, 61.8, and we couldn't. So now let's try it a different way. Let's say, right, so this is the last swing lower on the daily here, high to low. Okay, this is a 61.8 at the highs. This is where we reversed. We came back to the 236 fib, and now we're going to see if we can go again. It looks like we're making a pretty good base, but whenever you do that, remember that 50% level in the middle is your pivot level, and that's going to be our neckline. So by all means, buy theta Bitcoin but it's only going to go up against Bitcoin if we can get above 1380. Okay. So theta, bit of a sideways range, and above 1380 I think it will look really good for some more upside. Watch for a new high, and so on. So if we do go and we can break out of this sideways range, then I'm going to take these fibs away and we'll look for the big 236 fib up here at 1923. But otherwise we're just sideways lurking at these lows in theta. You know, if you, it's kind of, yeah, it's just very messy in this zone down here in the weeds, isn't it? I'd like to see us out of the weeds and in a trend again, so not quite there yet for me. Now if we look at weekly closes and highs and what level, if we look at this on the weekly, I think that you know, fibs aside, we'll call it this level here, and this above 1395. We're on our way to the top. But sorry, basic attention token. Another one of my favorite coins, basic attention token. Yeah, it doesn't look very good. Like it feels like it's stuck under these previous lows, doesn't it? I'm a bit worried we're going to have Fox trauma now. Okay. Right. Now, let's take all these drawings away. We'll start with a nice clean chart. Okay. So what this looks to me like we've done in basic attention token is a nice big rally. I don't know whether this is, at this point, whether this is the start of a new uptrend or just the first leg in a correction, because it's not a new uptrend until we can get above this 236 fib level that I've drawn from the highs. And so that's our resistance, and any rally on this next leg that we look at, we're looking at that level again, 34.17. In fact, if I measure from this low to high, I would expect that 61.8 to kind of end around there, and it does exactly. So that's our first target, 34.17. Does it look like we're making a nice little rally at bottom here that we could rally from on a breakout? It really does. Yeah, it does. Here it is. Double bottom. There's the high in the middle. You know, when you break a double bottom high, you go twice this distance, so that would take us up there as well. So we'll look at what this high level in the middle is. 27.41. A daily close above 27.41, and our target is 33.77. That's what we're waiting for. Underneath here at the moment, just kind of faffing, aren't we? And what I really want to see that we're going up is we get above it and we hold above it. I can't draw it even. There we go. That would be bullish. So just need to wait and see for the breaking out of this sideways zones for us to be sure we're going up again in basic attention token. So again, above 27.44, that's what we're looking for. And then 34.17 first target, 4,000 second target, and so on, higher from there. You know, if we get above here, we're in a new uptrend. So it's got potential, basic attention token. It's a coin with a real use. It didn't make new highs in the sell-off. If we put our fibs on the other way this way, then we can do the same fib rules, okay? This is like a 786. If we get above the 61.8, which is up here where our ABC will be, then we're all the way going to the top of this range, and 582 again. Listen, Abel Seaman said I shouldn't look at shit small coins. I need to say, listen, some of them, you know, you shouldn't get married to them. I think they're good trades if you manage your risk. And I've called trades shit coins and wouldn't get in them, like Ripple, and up it went like ridiculous. And I missed it. So I also think that they're really quite good. They're all quite good technical analysis. You know, we're all trying to recognise when is the trend going to resume and we're going to be going up again. And so, you know, the more coins we look at, the more analysis, I guess, we cover. So let's look at gas, ONT, and Ion next. Do you think she's eating a chicken?
Lost a chicken.
Huh?
Definitely.
We've definitely lost a chicken. What did you hear? I didn't hear. I got headphones on.
Death cry of a chicken.
Oh God. Okay. Next we're going to look at is gas, which I haven't got open. Dominique says yes, exactly. Just because it's a shit coin doesn't mean it won't pump. It might pump. You know, and if you're really disciplined, when it stops going up, get out. Right? They're not. You don't want to carry them in your bags forever. They're not going to go up forever. There was a really nice run in BSV, and everybody's got lots of nasty words to say about that one. So, you know. Now, I think this is a pretty good look for it. This is not a double bottom because it's a bit spiky and out of the way. And we've got this spike low here. Let's put regular candles on. So potentially, this is just a correction in this one. Let's hope it was that rooster. Okay. So, if this is just an ABC correction in gas Bitcoin, our first upside target here is 17,541. I think this one has quite a lot of potential though. Firstly, because it's been a very, very long time since gas traded above the 200-day moving average. Like this one has fallen a very long way and back above the 200 moving average, having completed 5 waves down in this last swing, might mean that we've got a bit more upside potential. So above the 200 moving average, if we just look at this last big swing lower, gives us 26,630. What though if this was this is the last swing lower? This is the 236 fib. And this 50% and this line up here together, that kind of validates it a bit, doesn't it? Okay, so there's our first target, 27,000, and we need to get above 18,146 to be in our next leg higher. So I like it. I like how we're holding above the 200 moving average today, but we haven't broken out of the sideways range in this little short-term double top. Here it is on the 4 hour. So when we do, that's going to be our long. Why do we need to be patient? Because in this correction, we could very easily just here at this point do this before we go higher again. So we need to wait. The ideal place was to buy. It was down here. Now we need to wait for a break of these highs or another leg and a turn up again. So gas, it's kind of looking like it's bottoming. It looks really good above the 200 moving average, but we need to break out of this little sideways range and this double top level if we're going to continue higher. So everything is the same point, isn't it? Stalled, sideways correct. This, like every chart, it's like stalled, sideways correction, wait for the pullback. Here's Ontology Bitcoin. This, I thought, okay, whenever you're looking at it and you're going, here's a really sharp, what looked like an impulsive move, and here's our correction. And so now we want to know, are we going to go up again? And one of the things that would tell us that probably we're not going up again is if we just made an equal measured move correction here. I'm going to have to reload this page. Sorry. Ontology. Try it again. I've got so many charts open, that's the problem. Okay, so here's Ontology. That's why, look, it's gone up, hasn't refreshed. Okay, so normally, like, you would draw like this, and if we got up here, here we stopped at what was like just short, wasn't it, of an equal measured move. And you go, oh, this is but we didn't. We've carried on higher. So I think that this is the start of a new bigger uptrend. Here's our first leg, here's our correction, and now we're going to measure. So from here to here to here. Next target is 1018, but if this is impulsive, we should go at least to the highs, and then we'll look for some fib targets. We're going to take this last, swing lower, get rid of that as well, like this. 13, let's look for the first fib level is 1310, and then probably these lows, you know, they're all gonna, anyway, this move above the 200-day moving average really should give us at least another equal measured move higher in this 1310 level, and then we'll see what happens there for Ontology Bitcoin. If we just make a big ABC, I'm afraid it's just a correction. If we can go beyond that, then we have a pretty good shot for another more upside. But you know, when you look at this, at new lows underneath the opening low, let's mark where, let's put that in again, because that's the really tricky level, isn't it, that we haven't been able to get above 1111. I think we can say we've really bottomed when we get above that, probably. So just a bounce, hoping it turns into more. Look for a retest of the highs next for Ontology. Aion, I'm going to stay optimistic, but you know, we have to be realistic too. I can't believe I'm doing this while my chickens are being murdered. Oh God, I've got a dog. Okay, so Aion. We should be talking about Algorand, not Aion. So, another one where everything looked really good. I'm going to zoom out, okay. For the 2019 highs to lows, we stalled at the 236 fib level. So, I'm going to take these away because this is pretty good support. Now we're looking to see if we bottom. We've made a long time building this base. We've spent a very long time building this big double bottom, and if you count the pivot level in the middle, we've gone twice the range, so we've hit our double bottom target. Now I think that we are in a bit of a correction. If this was our A leg, it's quite big, then this C leg, got A, B, C, where is it likely to come back to? Retest the lows at 1132. So Aion, reversal. Now, in terms of Japanese candlesticks, let me take that away for a minute. In terms of Japanese candlesticks, this is called dark cloud cover because it made a new high if it closes more than 50% of this low to high here. So below 1250. So when you measure it, you don't count that little thing. This is the Marabou candle, and the 50% of the open close is called the Marabou line. So at 1250, so if we get a daily close below 1250 here, something like that, there we go. Anyway, just a little bit lower, that would be a bearish reversal in terms of Japanese candlesticks. And so then we can measure, if we get that, we're looking for this 61.8 level, 1132, and maybe if we make the big ABC, we're going to come down to this 50 and 200 moving average again, and all the way down to 884. So that's what I'm looking for. First support here at 1250. If we hold above 1250, we could very easily carry on higher. Below 1250, we're looking for 1132 and then 854. So it's not quite an uptrend either, is it? This one is another one that's kind of just like all the others in a bit of a correction. After a really nice strong move, we're doing a bit of back and fill. Okay, Doge, Algo, and ENG. Doge. La Doge. Now Doge has done what Bitcoin's done and BNB's done. Okay, so if we take this high to low swing, we've stalled at the 50%. Whenever you stall at the 50%, if you come back more than this 382, you're going to get 50% the other way. So I can see quite a big correction coming for Doge before we do our next leg higher. Now, if this is a wave 1, 2, 3, then 38.2 would be normally where you come back through, and we've gone beyond that. So let's see. So if we've reversed to the 50%, we're looking for 50% the other way, which would be here at 268,000. So that's our support level where we're looking to buy it back. 268,000. And if that's just the first leg of correction, we'll only go 50% and then we'll do it again before we go. So Doge dollar, 268,000 is where we're looking for before we go up again. And a pullback to retest these lovely bullish daily moving averages. They are bullish. We're above all of them, but in quite a big pullback, I think. So Doge Bitcoin. This is a bit unfortunate. Lower high. Now, I think we've just made a bearish ABC correction here in Doge against Bitcoin. And the reason is we've done this rally, ABC down, and then we failed at the 61.8 level at 34. So this is now starting to look like a bear flag or a bearish pennant, like this. So we're going to watch out now for a breakdown. And if we do break down, obviously, these previous lows are going to be where the support is. Let's go to a weekly. Okay. Because the support and resistance levels have been quite, rather than fibs, have been pretty. No, there we go. So this low and this low lined up. I think if we lose that low again, new lows, if the bear, when your flag breaks down, the first place that you're going to look for support is the previous low. If it breaks the previous low, then you look for your next support, which is this double bottom down here. So if we can say, if we go below 22, we're going to go to 15. So watch out. If this trend line breaks 22 and then 15 and new lows and Doge, this is not the bullish reversal we were looking for yet, unfortunately. That's the bad news. The good news is that these moving averages are completely flat. And I usually say, when the moving averages are completely flat, you're in a sideways range, which I think we are here. And so this 22 level could be very good support. But if we fail, then it's 15 where we go next, okay? Algorand, yeah, hasn't that one been outperforming? We'll take a quick look at Algo. So when we put our, unlike Bitcoin, we could say, look, so we had a nice little bottom down here. Unlike Bitcoin, from this high to low, we've gone beyond the 50% and we've gone beyond the 200 moving average. And this is looking really sharp for another leg higher. So we're going to go from this double bottom down here and measure. So our next target is 3973. 3973 and then 4869. And I'm going to... Yeah, and we shouldn't, if we're going to keep going higher, drop back again underneath this 200 moving average. And this 200 moving average today is at 3612. So if you're looking at Algorand and thinking, I think that looks really good, I'd like to buy some, 3612 is the support level where you'd be looking for this to come back to, and I would mark it because that's where your 200 moving average is. So 36, not there. There we go. So we've only broken the 200 moving average in this last hour. Sometimes, and we've got a few hours before the daily close, we can spike above and close back underneath it. That's not so bullish. So I would say take care, watch out. But we look good for 39, whatever we said that was, 39.73 next, at least. And above 39.73, that's one of those levels that should become support when we're above it to keep going up. Oh, this is marathon tonight. ENJ. ERD, okay. I've looked, ENJ, yeah. It's nice to be able to say that something's moving instead of sideways, another leg lower, I suppose. ENJ. Engine. This is a pretty nice daily chart, isn't it? So once if you look, right, look at what we do when we're in a trend, a downtrend or an uptrend. So we'll go back to the beginning in ENJ. So in a day, on this daily chart, when we're in an uptrend, we pull back to the 20 moving average, this pink line, and up we go. And then when we're in a downtrend, that 20 moving average becomes resistance. And as long as we stay underneath it, look, we tag it, we tag it, we tag it, we're still in a downtrend. So here, now that we're, look, downtrend, 20 moving average, 20 moving average. So now that we're back in an uptrend again, we've bounced off our ideal trend support here in the 20 moving average. Also, if we measure back, look, it's nice, 61.8. That makes it handy because we know 38.2 is resistance, and then above there, we should be looking quite good, shouldn't we? So it looks like we made an ABC correction. We pull back to the daily 20 moving average, and we're all ready to fire up and head north again. But again, 61.8, 38.2, it's that golden ratio zone, and we've already been back and forward in it twice. I wouldn't rule out, if everything stays in correction, that we do it again in engine. But above 1385, I would be quite confident that we're on our way up again. So that's what I'd be looking for. Okay, engine Bitcoin above 1385, next leg up, next upside target. We need to, in fact, our big upside target is this big 236 fib level at 1923. So that's where we're looking for next on this next upswing, 1923. Okay, I like it, but that little level, that's going to get us off the hump, over the hump, subby. Okay, nice little bottoming pattern. That will be it, and that'll be our next upside target, 1923. Then above there, obviously, 2792. And ENJ, ERD. I haven't looked at ERD for a while. I don't know if I've got a chart for that. Let's see. Yeah, maybe I have. ERD, Elrond. Now this is a funny little coin. Let's start with why my fib levels are where they are. Okay, so on my chart, I've drawn my, okay, this was a massive spike when this launched here. So I didn't want to put my fib on this swing. So I picked the first high after that and put it to the lows. And then you mark your fibs and then you wait to see if they work. And the first off is going to be the test of the 236 fib. Do you get a reaction? And here we got a perfect reaction. So we know that we've got our fibs right. And then the 38.2 was a double top. So happy days. Now we've got a sideways range going on, haven't we? So really we've got a big double top triple top here, double bottom. So if we launch off the bottom and we go above the 236 fib, it's going to be bumpy on the way, but we're going back to the top of the range again. So happy days. And so here's our level at 20. Back above 20. Ooh, it's look. It's one of those charts, isn't it? Back above 20, we're on our way up again in Elron Bitcoin, back to the top of the range and waiting for a breakout. Okay, so it's going to be bumpy on the way. 200 moving average. This 236 fib then after that at 27, but really our target is back to 34. And if we can get a daily close above 34, we've got a bottom. We've got a really nice double bottom, big one. Mana, excuse the Fox Patrol. Gonna have to go out with a torch now and count chickens after this. Get really upset. Okay. It's their own fault. They insist on sleeping in the tree and not in their house, even when it's snowing. Okay, I'm looking at the wrong coin. What are we looking for next? ERD Mana, not Nano, Mana. Okay, my mistake. Mana. Here's Mana. They're page buddies. Now, I feel like this is one of those charts, you know, where we've got the we've got the same kind of bottoming pattern, highs and lows, and sideways range, and we made this sideways range. So when we get out of it, we kind of look for twice the distance as our first target. I feel like we've done it here, or we might have reached it soon. Yeah. So we're vulnerable to a pullback. Having broken out from this bottoming pattern, we're now vulnerable to a pullback to retest it. So I'm going to clean up this chart now, and we're going to, because we've got big fib, but I want to put a smaller one on from here because I don't think we've quite reached that 236. So potentially we could squeeze a little bit higher here, potentially, to this 236 fib level at 709. But that doesn't mean that we won't come back and retest this support level first. So we're going to look for 513 to be support on a pullback, and then next leg up will take us to hopefully 709. Now, if you're long already, you're going to like, what? We can't come back that far. We might not. I'm just going to have a look under the hood. You know, bearish cross of these hourly moving averages. I think we are, I'm afraid. I think we're at risk of a bigger correction, to be quite honest. Let's see where. Yeah, 50% back is very often where you stop in corrections. So let's even go down a bit more. That's where, look, from this high to low, that's where we've got stuck. So I'm afraid, I think correction's not quite over. Now, if we pull back 50% here like this and found support and then rally and then made a new high above this 50% level, that would be a nice long entry. But I would hold back now unless we get above 625. And that would say next push higher above 625, and then I'd be looking for 709 as my target. As long as we stay under 625, I would look for a bigger pullback to this 517 next. So we use high canality. The volume is quite good, you know, the volume, I wouldn't give up on it yet, but if it rolls over here and we break the lows, just look for one more like that before we go. Now, above 709, got lots of good upside to come for this one, Mana. Yeah. Whenever you see a market that's spent a long time building a base like this. It usually sustains it, but we just need to wait for this pullback, unfortunately. And then beam. Okay, we're nearly there. Beam. Thanks, pulp. Beam. Okay. Don't know if I've got any. Beam. No. Okay. Let's do some beam. Here's beam. There we go. Now, cool. This is cool. Okay, so this first leg higher looked like a nice ABC, didn't it? And so you think, oh yeah, this has got more upside, and then it got quiet, and then we had an ABC back for a correction. So we want to know, is this next leg the new upswing or uptrend beginning? We could connect these highs and say, have we? Yeah, we've got probably quite a nice breakout here, you know. Potentially, yes, but the ABC correction thing is always going to be our bane. So I'm going to measure this first swing higher, low to high, and project it from here. And here we are stuck at the 61.8 level, which is at 857. So 857 will above 8 for a close above 857 will signal our next leg higher to 995. And then we can start to look at retrace fib levels as well. Is everything all right, James? Okay, so that's what I'm looking for. And then 995, some pretty good support and resistance here as well. This big swing low. So that would be our next target. So let's look on a low time frame if beam's about to break out. Because we peaked above this level today, had a nice little pullback where I could see this very easily pulling back and then just popping from here, and up we go. So promising, but I'd really like to see a daily close above this 859 level in beam, and then 997 next. Potentially we're out of the weeds then. Okay, that's it for tonight. Thank you very much for coming. See you all next Monday. I am probably going to go live. I would like to move my lives over to TradingView, and so I might do some test lives this week to see how it works. And if anybody here trades FX and futures, I'm thinking about doing a Sunday night FX and futures as well. So I'll let you know. Okay, bye everyone.